let's just hop into it, shall we? So we've got Bant Arcadas today. Arcadas, the Strategist. 3/5 Flying Vigilance for 4. Whenever a creature with Defender enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Each creature you control assigns combat damage with its toughness rather than its power and attack as though it didn't have Defender. So we got a number of sweet Defender cards in Jumpstart. We got both Wall of Blossoms here, 0/4 cantrips when it comes into play, as well as Carven Caryatid, 2/5, draws a card when it comes into play. We got High Alert here as an extra kind of Arcadas effect. We've got some Assault formations here. So we basically have 10 copies of these cards that let our walls attack. We've got Tetsuko, which lets our walls get in via evasion. And then we've got Tower Defense to pump up the bump up the wump up the jam. So let's go ahead and pop on in to some matches here with this and see how it goes. As a reminder for folks that are just stopping in, if you haven't been around earlier this week, we've still got the Raid Shadow Legends promotion going on. So if you want an easy way to support my content, you haven't done that before, give Raid install on PC using my link there. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's linked in the comment section. You play through the tutorial. I appreciate everybody that does that. As a thank you to the folks that do that, if you're not a Twitch sub, I will gift you a sub to my channel. Or if you are a Twitch sub, you can bump something in the deck queue. Speaking of Twitch subs, Erdian, thanks for the 26 months, and Pop593, thanks for the quarter of a year. Sure. Redundant Arcadas is fine, because, like, we need this card to win the game, basically. Let's see if we have the tools to Field of the Dead, huh? Yeah, the deck building segment's gotten good feedback so far. Maybe something in that vein could become something we do on occasion. I have to give credit where credit is due. I was pleasantly surprised with the quality of chat during that segment. I had incredibly low expectations, and chat thoroughly exceeded them. Alright, opponent stumbled here. Pretty sure we just want to play Arcadas out. His animation is so fantastic too. The dragons, angels, and demons that are mythic in this game tend to have reasonable animations, which is nice. Practiced for about 3 nights in a row, fine-tuning some decks for Hoots Fives. I realized this past Monday that Amonkhet Remaster is going to be legal by then. Yep. So, one of my goals for the Hoots tournaments, and I know this makes it tougher for people that are playing in them, but it's much better for people watching and making coverage, is that the Hoots tournaments are basically always going to be happening very close to a set release or a format changing. So, like, for example, our September Hoots will be a standard tournament, and it will be right after the next set releases. And rotation happens, etc. Maybe I should have held some of these. Oh, they don't have double white, so yeah, maybe I'm just supposed to ship it. Wizards should learn from me. I've frequently said I don't understand why Wizards times their events the way they time them, but you know, all I can do is just time my events better. I don't have control over them, so it's their product. They can do what they want. I know as someone who's making content that I want the most people to watch it. People are most interested in watching when formats are fresh. The excitement of seeing what other people have figured out is huge. I feel like I probably don't have time for Assault Formation activations on average. I think 8 of this effect is probably fine. My opponent's archetype doesn't seem like it has a ton of removal in it. I have a pretty solid curve here. Get to go 1, 2, 3, and then on 3 attack for 7. Yeah, maybe Jin. You believe our opponent has died? Really? Doesn't look like that to me. I have a 1-mana 4/4 though, and if our opponent doesn't sweep the board or kill our... Actually, even killing Arcadis isn't that bad because I have High Alert. But if they don't sweep the board and they don't kill Arcadis, we should be in a pretty good spot here when we get to untap with Disdainful Stroke. Arcadis is going to help us go wide by drawing cards, then we should eventually be able to like attack through what they have going on. Again, the fact that people complain about Field of the Dead in this format is very silly to me. I feel like those are complaints of people who haven't actually played the format. Definitely think Ugin is the best ramp payoff in this format, and it's not close. Queen Flip, thanks for 14 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Sure. Yeah, like, the Field of the Dead is, like, something the ramp decks are, like, incidentally doing, not because it's good, but because it's there. That's what it feels like to me a lot of the time. So this makes a mana for every defender that I have. I think I'm just playing Tetsuko here. And then we'll play High Alert and crack them for 3. Isn't Valakut originally from Zendikar? Yeah, I don't expect that to be I don't expect that to be a reprint though. So do we stick Arcadis next turn? Probably. Leaves me 8 power in play. Would really love to draw a counterspell. Getting Aether Gusted. Maybe I'm supposed to play threats out first here in case they have Settle. We are, in fact, getting Aether Gusted. Caryatid's actually a little bit awkward because it's not unblockable. Maybe it's wrong to play this out. The Aethergust there seemed to imply they don't have a sweeper, so that's nice. Hey, Sound of Science, thanks for the 13 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I mean, that's not even, like, a real downside anymore, though, Bib. Like, part of the reason why ramp has become so prevalent is because your ramp cards your ramp effects are all stapled to cards that also do other things. So, like, it's nowhere near, like, what you're talking about there, where, like, they're like, there's this real downside to it. It's just not how it works anymore. So they're going to 2 here, which means these are going to die. Looking for more defender creatures. Okay. We have 9 power in play. High alert. So Arcades does not impact himself to make him attack for 5, but high alert makes Arcades attack for 5, which is nice. So they need to blow their blast zone in response here. Oh, I should have tapped that for mana. Was a mistake. Could have made some green. Sorry to hear that, Monster Man. Yeah, like even the bad ramp cards, like even the worst ramp cards like Explorer and Growth Spiral, like they still cantrip, right? And the big thing is the downside that ramp cards traditionally had, like you draw Rampant Growth on turn 12, you're like, oh crap, I drew a Rampant Growth. Whereas like you draw Growth Spiral or Explorer on turn 12, and you're like, oh, I can get a redraw here. Hey. Good to have you here, Hard to Break. If you'd like an easy way to support my content at no cost to yourself, you should check out the raid promotion /link there in chat if you have a desktop computer. I'm gifting subs to folks that check out the sponsor as part of that promotion. Look at that. Bant walls 1, Field of the Dead 0. Should all 2-mana ramp cards have cycling instead of naturally cantripping? I don't know. I feel like from a game balance perspective, Magic would probably be a better game if more things cycled. Have you ever played competitive Pokemon? Yeah, I did for a little bit. You can read a fun article here on my website. I think this article still exists. Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you want my thoughts on competitive Pokemon from March 2017, give that one a click. Luke goes, thanks for the biddies. I appreciate that. You're having a good one wherever you're at. I saw the video of you deck building live, and I loved it. I like a lot of the deck building part of MTG, and looking at someone who has more experience doing it is great. Thanks. Maybe we'll do some of my build around segments on stream with more consistency. The feedback on YouTube so far has been really good. Chat was much better than I expected them to be. I also put chat back in sub-only mode for that, so that probably helped a little bit, but chat was like neutral at worst and actively helpful at times, which was sweet. We just do this, make their attacks medium. I could play this off of this. Is that appealing? Yeah, I think that's appealing, because then if I draw Arcadis next turn, it could be good. Hey, Ninja Turtle Jr., thanks for the 23 months. I haven't been doing a lot of, and maybe this'll probably change when the new set releases, but I haven't done a ton of deck building for Runeterra. Like, like, the Jinx Entreat deck and the Fizz Teemo deck are the only decks I've built from scratch in that game. Probably can't beat this. Feels unbeatable. Really surprised they didn't make 4 Goblins and smash me there. Howdy, box. I guess they like end step goblins, untap goblins. We'll probably take a peek at Runeterra spoilers again when we switch over to that game. Well, we haven't gotten Muxus yet. Goblin Chieftain's arguably better. That should be lethal, right? Again, just highlighting some of the strength of the Goblins deck, even without Muxus. It's very, very good when your opponent is not interacting with you. I don't know if there's like an equivalent of Mythic Spoiler for Runeterra. I've just been seeing them on Twitter. I think I definitely want Baffling End to Grafdigger's Cage here. What do I want to trim? Caretaker's probably a little medium. Like, tapping my blockers doesn't seem stellar. I'm really excited for Amonkhet. Amonkhet's gonna really give Historic a little bit more texture coming from Standard, which is nice. I think the Amonkhet remastered will, like, mark the start of, okay, this isn't just big Standard, right? The depth of the card pool is really going to start to get meaningful. Which again is fantastic because in my opinion, the thing Magic does better than any other card game out there is have a very deep card pool. Think about Thoughtseize being added to Historic. I think if you don't like playing against Thoughtseize, you shouldn't play Magic. Magic is riddled with cards like Thoughtseize, and literally every non-standard format has been a Thoughtseize format for a long time. I cut my teeth playing Modern. I think Thoughtseize is objectively bad game design, but it's game design that they very clearly want to be a core facet of Magic the Gathering. I think Thoughtseize will help keep combo decks in check. My lukewarm take, and this is one that I've shared before, is that rather than keeping combo decks in check with things like Thoughtseize, I'd rather combo decks were just less obnoxious, but cards like Thoughtseize, just to touch on a statement in chat there, I personally think Thoughtseize is going to break Historic. I think comments like that are pretty nonsensical. A card like Thoughtseize doesn't break anything. A card like Thoughtseize is going to produce play patterns that kind of suck. That's definitely true. But, like, from an objective standpoint, like, Thoughtseize isn't broken. It's just obnoxious and frustrating and limits your decisions that you get to make while playing a game of Magic. So, like, all of those things are true without Thoughtseize being busted or too powerful or whatever. Thoughtseize, in my opinion, destroys one of the most skill-testing aspects of Magic the Gathering, which is correct mulligan decisions get punished for playing when Thoughtseize becomes involved, because optimal mulliganing strategy against decks that are Thoughtseizing you tends to become just don't mulligan, which isn't very interesting or good in my opinion. I have like a second Gem Palm here to kill this, which is fine because I have High Alert. And for those that are newer to Magic, the reason why effects that are like Thoughtseize punish you for mulliganing is Thoughtseize punishes people who have fewer cards because Thoughtseize punishes people who have fewer cards so to take your best card away from you. So open deck list, make Thoughtseize less obnoxious. No, it actually makes it more obnoxious to a degree because it lets you know when you need to mulligan to your Thoughtseize. Are you crazy to want Bolton Historic? Eric Dared, thanks for the 13 months. Welcome back. In my opinion, cards like Path to Exile and Lightning Bolt and Swords to Plowshares and Counterspell, these are all bad cards that I do not want in formats like Historic or Pioneer. Every time you print strictly better versions of other things, you make more things unplayable. The solution to threats being too good isn't create an arms race to scale up the power level of everything, in my opinion. The appropriate answer to threats being too good is to scale down the power level or remove the threats that you think are too good. I'd encourage you to look at a format like Legacy, for example, where most of Magic's most powerful cards are legal. And if you look at the number of different cards that end up constructed playable in Legacy, even though the format technically has an incredibly deep card pool, the number of constructed playable Legacy cards is actually quite small in proportion to the card pool because the powerful things in that format edge out so much. Noted, Sky Zero. I'll get that bumped up after I'm done today. Get both of those bumped up. Legacy is old broken combos versus 2019-2020 Magic. That's funny. We have a Lisa mattress that was a sponsored thing on stream way back when. Gosh, years ago at this point. I like it. If you haven't slept on a foam mattress before, I would highly recommend getting a foam mattress. Much prefer them to pillow tops personally. Generally speaking, I'd recommend you go out and lay on some mattresses, but that's probably not ideal during the current pandemic situations. Most mattress places will let you get one, sleep on it for up to 30 days, and then send it back if you don't like it. So I'm pretty sure the Lisa had that too. What do they do with return mattresses? Generally speaking, they donate them. They do not resell used mattresses that get returned. That's against the law. Usually they're donated to shelters or something like that. Rawr. Attack for 10. Don't they lose money? Not if their profit margin's appropriate. Also, if you, like, have a decent product, a lot of people are going to keep them. Scale of 1 to dead. Where am I at here, opponent? I'm really surprised they didn't jump block anything there. Anything about the impact or prevalence of goblins in historic? So, I feel like goblins in historic is actually a fantastic example of metagames dictating what is too good or powerful or not at all. Before Teferi was banned, I actually think there was a chance the Goblins deck was a little bit too good. But with Teferi being removed from the format, it's easier to play interaction and not just be embarrassed by that decision. And I actually think Goblins in this current format at least is, in terms of raw power level, isn't that strong compared to a lot of the other options. Now, that being said, I think the quality of the gameplay that the Goblins deck generates is dog poop. I think the Goblins deck with Muxus as a card generally... I don't think Muxus ever gets cast and leaves both players feeling satisfied. Muxus either happens and the person casting it gets incredibly unlucky and feels cheated, or they get a decent roll with it and the person who Muxus is being played against feels cheated. It does not ever generate what I would consider to be a satisfying game of Magic the Gathering. I've always thought Winota was fine. Even when they banned Winota, I thought it was fine. I missed the flavor text on my high alert. That is true. Muxus' existence in this format is another checkbox for this format's different than Historic, or than Pioneer. You were timed out because you just said the word croquis twice, and I didn't notice anybody in chat asking a question that could be the possible answer to, so it looked like spam. In general, I time people out for just posting nonsense. Or things that look like spam. Feel like we died? Yeah, probably. We're not dead this turn. We're not dead on board at least, so. Tetsuko! 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 Alright, now we're dead. Hey, Palmer. Thanks for the 7 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. My last Magic tournament was staged in the early 2000s. I played a friend at the second to last round to make top 8. We both had one loss. He made a huge misplay to lose game 1 and asked to take it back. I'm a nice guy and say no problem. The take back leads to a game win. I win game 2 and 3. I made a mistake and asked to take it back. He says no. He says that was your mistake. Well, Jin. You also learned a bit about your friend, right? Or what? Not so longer. Sure. So high alert and Arcades and the 2-mana enchantment are our best draws here. Looks like the enchantment stuck on the other side of the table. So we'll go Overgrown Battlement into Caretaker off the Caretaker on 1 here. If we draw high alert next turn, we get to attack for 10 on turn 3. His archetype's not super consistent, but it has some incredibly explosive draws if it hits well. In other news, feels Magic Man. I have mostly good stories about Magic tournaments, especially when it comes to playing with friends. It's a day late and a dollar short, I think. At least they can't attack in now, I suppose. If I attack, they eat a 4/4. They go to 30. They take 8, 14, go to 16. My favorite question to ask people who would complain about their bad beats when they come up to me, because like anybody who's played a Magic tournament, you know the types of things people say, and they're like, man, I got so unlucky in game 3, I just flooded out, or I died, or they peeled on me and they got there. The best question to ask people who have stories like that is always, well, what happened in the other game that you lost? And usually people, it would give them pause for a moment. It's like, well, you played a best of 3, right? So like, did you also get unlucky in the other one, or did you mess that one up? Should you have been playing a game 3? Well, and like, that's something I've also talked about too before, is that like, Magic tends to attract, and I'm not saying, let me prefix this because people like to have this imply things that it doesn't with. This doesn't apply to everyone that plays Magic, but certainly a number of people who play Magic are attracted to it because Magic is the type of game where if you're looking for a reason that you lost a game other than I messed up, you could always find one. Fang, thank you for the generous tier 2, and I appreciate the 19 months. Welcome back. Like, and don't get me wrong, that's not to say, you know, you're never gonna lose a game because you flooded out or because you stumbled. But it's much easier to blame the things you couldn't control and get rid of that personal accountability rather than look back at the things you could control. And so, like, I actually think that that's a boon to games like Runeterra, is I think it's actually easier to find the mistakes that you made in Runeterra because there isn't that resource variance on top of it muddying things up, right? Another thing, and I think this goes back to core Magic design, is that especially since we moved to the fire philosophy of Magic design, games of Magic have become so snowbally on average that a decision you make early can very easily snowball and cost you the game many turns later. And I don't know if that's a feature or a bug. I feel like the snowbally nature I would probably consider a bug personally, but I don't know. It's definitely something that's a little bit subjective, I think. Now, question. Do I play High Alert into Spell Pierce here, or do I wait a turn? I think I'm supposed to wait a turn, because High Alert's my last piece of action here, and next turn I can very easily play it around Spell Pierce. I'm giving up 3 points of damage here, but the downside is so high if they have their Pierce that I'm not going to go for it. The fact that they're going after my battlement here really feels like, I guess it's just the highest upside thing in play. Let's find out if they have a blessing here or not. I don't know. From a gameplay perspective, I do think that Magic has more games that you just lose to variance on average than Runeterra does, in large part due to the resource system. But I also think that there's people that on average take that too far in the other direction, also use it as a scapegoat. Like there's a balance you got to strike somewhere in the middle, right? Nah, I think the Auras deck is still the most common deck I played against on the ladder. I've decided I'm just not going to rant at non-subs that are saying silly things. I'm just going to time them out and go on with my day. It's very, very fine. I'm not even going to do the thing where I tell them why I timed them out. If they can't figure it out, they can just, they can come back and complain and then we'll ban them. Which, for people that are new here, the easiest way to get banned is to get timed out and then to come back and complain about having been timed out. You've been warned. I think the opponent's archetype is easily one of the best in this format right now. It's very, very good. And for those of you that are new here, I'm feeling a timeout train coming on from people in chat. So, you know, type at your own risk for the next 2 or 3 minutes or so. Ooh, that's a cute one in Auras, just like the base unblockable creature. Is that a good one, chat? It looks like they're dead regardless. 12 view. I think they're trying to block. Defense. Defense. Alright. Got him. Think Blue-White Auras is better than Jeskai. Yeah, we played a Jeskai variation the other day. If you want my thoughts on it, I'd encourage you to watch the wrap-up there. Howdy, gotcha. Sweet, Landon. Yeah, we will, we'll look at Runeterra spoilers when we switch over to that game. We're probably gonna we play for about 45 minutes, probably another half hour, 45 minutes of Magic. Easy mulligan here with only one land. Okay, so I can't play this on one anyway, so I think I'm bottoming it. I think I want to keep my 2 pieces of interaction on the draw. Yeah, I think the opponent... There's a lot of people that like to complain about the style of deck that this opponent is playing, but I think in general, this style of deck existing tends to be healthy for 4-mana Magic to have. Don't worry, Blitz, I wouldn't want you to feel sad. I aim to please. Really like an untapped land here. Nailed it. Stinger, thanks for the 10 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Let's get this Baffling End here while they're tapped out. Torment of Hailfire is coming to Arena. I did not add it to Mono Black Control on the website, though. I don't think that card is very playable. TDS Coke, thanks for 13 months. Welcome back. All right, let's set the mods back to stun for a little bit, please and thank you. Can you explain why it's right to play Settle against this deck, but not against Goblins? Because I don't think I can race this deck. I think I can race Goblins on average. I also think the way Goblins get set up, they're going to frequently be able to beat a copy of Settle the Wreckage. I think this archetype usually can't beat Settle the Wreckage. So you're looking for a white source here. Would Pernicious Deed be too good for Historic? I think you're asking the wrong question. I would heavily encourage people to stop asking the question, is this card too strong? And instead, ask yourself the question, does this card add something meaningful or of value to the format? There are plenty of cards that from a pure power level perspective are certainly not too good, but those same cards that aren't too good create god-awful gameplay. I think too often, is this card too strong, is the only question that gets asked. It's a big part of why we end up with a lot of the problems that we do. And honestly, so like, the play design team was composed of largely professional Magic players, right? And that was added as part of the people that helped balance the standard formats that we just had that were pretty bad, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if part of the reason why those formats had so many issues was in large part due to the fact that these competitive focused players didn't ask themselves the questions often enough, is this fun? I've got chat out of sub-only mode for this week, so non-subs can partake in the raid promotion if they would like to earn themselves a free sub by supporting one of my sponsors. I appreciate everybody that takes the time to do that. If it's in sub mode, non-subs can't use the command to pull the link. He may or may not hit my stretch goal. The stretch goal is 170 installs I get a bonus for. I've got 4 more days to do it. We're a little under halfway. May or may not get there. Chips our lands are sweet looking. So we're looking for a way to let our things attack so we can beat them down. Yeah, High Alert and Arcades both end the game. As someone who started playing Raid with Jeff Code 4 days ago and haven't logged off since, I definitely recommend. The game is very addictive. It's a genuinely good game. I play a lot of it. And we're dead. Diamond for rank floor. Lovely. Almost, not quite. Almost, though. Alright, mods, play nice. Yeah, it's a half-idle game, Luke. There's parts of it that you're super engaged in. There's really mathy parts that are good problem solving. Yeah, like 3/4. It depends on what part you're at. There's parts of it that are more idle than others. Well-formed questions are always welcome. Being specific is key in well-formed questions. A good example of a well-formed question versus a poor-formed question is a poor-formed question that I would prefer doesn't happen is, Jeff, why did you make that play? Instead say, Jeff, that play seems bad to me for this reason. Or, Jeff, this other play that you could make seems better for this reason. And then we could talk about it and have a real discussion. Yeah, so far the feedback from the deck building segment's been super positive. The raw view count on YouTube's also been pretty good for my channel. I can have like 2,500 views when I logged on this morning. It's not bad. Yeah, 4 rare wild cards are only a third of $70. Yeah, it reminds me, I need to give Papa Watsy some dollars. Probably need to buy like $200 worth of gems for this new set. I think we're gonna need 200 or 300 packs to flesh things out. Yeah, I didn't. I think if I remember the point you're referring to, Zeke, I didn't have anything that let my defenders attack. When can you start submitting build-arounds for the next Runeterra set? No, it's fine. I like money. I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for these meddling kids. Oh no, chat! Hide your memes! They're coming for our memes, chat! Oh no! Not my memes! Had to draw the Arcadas immediately like a dagger. Caught with our hand in the cookie jar. Take about 350 packs. That sounds about right. We have the technology, chat. We have the technology. Nah, I think it's an easy choice. I want to unlock this out of my hand. If I didn't... Well, poop. Anyone know if they're doing anything special for the release? I heard to celebrate Amonkhet Remastered, they were installing a new system that would take your money twice as fast as the old one. Finally, real improvements. No, they'll have packs to buy this time. In fact, the tinfoil hat strapped to my head would like to believe the reason why they didn't let us buy Jumpstart packs was so when they finally released Amonkhet Remastered and it took 300 packs to complete, we would be like, oh, God bless you, you're letting us buy booster packs again. Thank you. Thank you. They can block this. We're probably gonna kill them next turn, but not this turn. This has it says base 2 power. It's a little awkward. I think it's still worth playing because like the having base attack when we don't have our other things going is good, but worth noting for sure. I'm not sure like the 4th arcade is here. Because they're obviously going to be meddling maging that. Am I going to build some more decks? I mean, there's a bunch of decks in the queue still that need to be built. By a bunch, I mean some number. How many? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 decks in there. Was trying to hit a land there. Maybe I'm just supposed to go double Overgrown Battlement that turn. It's annoying. I'll have to take back to your end exhibition. It's usually a day or two. I think because we ran late yesterday, I forgot to respond. Thanks, Jerry. I try. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I had feedback from some other people that they would have liked to have seen me read the cards while pulling them up during the deck building segment. I think, unfortunately, that would make it take too much added time that it wouldn't be worth me doing it on stream. So, unless I don't know what a card does, I probably won't be taking the time to pull them up if we do more of those. I know it would probably make for better content, but I don't think it would improve the content to a degree at which it would slow it down. Yeah, like all things considered, the amount of time that doing the deck building on stream versus me doing it off stream added, like, it probably only added like 15, 20 minutes at most. Which is like a decent ratio. Yeah, if the Scryfall deck editor had a mouse over ability, that would have been ideal. If I could have moused over it while I was building in the deck editor there, would have been nice. So this is on Arcades. So we're just waiting for either a Baffling End for this or that. That one right there. Swing meta. Your move, Yugi boy. This is all we got. Just boop 'em right on the nose. Get that. Won almost as many as we've lost with this. It's a good set. See, chat, the key to not being disappointed in life is low expectation. So, the other thing you need to understand, Tidon, is that the amount of money that I spend is me paying a premium to have essentially everything the day it releases. So not only are you getting better value because you enjoy playing limited, but you're not crafting the entirety of sets on the first day that those sets release, right? Or within the first week of those sets releasing, generally speaking. So like, I'm basically paying a first mover's premium. Because my job requires me to, in order to do my job as I do it, requires me to do that. Yeah, I also have a number of card styles too, is worth noting. I do not have all the card styles, thank you very much, just a lot of them. Does Green Finale get her on Meddling Mage? It does. Hey, thanks Crowstone for finishing the raid tutorial. I appreciate you checking out the sponsor. Drop me a DM here on Twitch and let me know if you'd like a sub gifted to your account or if you'd like to bump something in the queue. Appreciate that. Chat's open for this week, so non-subs have a chance to grab the raid link command. If you'd like to always be able to engage in chat, feel free to check out the sponsor, and we'll make you a sub, get you into the subs Discord, all that. How's this deck been going? Better than expected. It's actually a little bit of a 2 or a 10 deck. Like if you have your enabler, the deck's real good. If we don't have a way to make our 0 power things attack, it's kind of mediocre. Okay, so this makes some mana, so we can go Caryatid into Watchdog here. Speaking of perks for subscribing, if you would like to play in the Open this weekend, is a $6 entry fee plus a sub to the channel. So if you'd essentially like to cut that cost in half, you can check out the raid sponsor for that bonus too. Pop in the subs Discord. The event is going to be sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. again. Everybody that gets at least 5 match wins will get Cool Stuff Inc. store credit. The winner is going to get $120 in credit. If you're not familiar with them, they do Magic singles, board games, all sorts of stuff. Lots of cool stuff, one could say. We just high alert and then attack them for 11 here. Unlike next turn, we can go land, Caryatid, tower defense. I think we had about 60 signups for the Open last I checked. Not expecting that to cap with the entry fee. Am I paying other content creators to play in Hoots? No, I'm giving them free entry. Which, for people who aren't creators, if you need to understand that according to FTC regulations, which handles managing promotional stuff like that in the United States, if you're given entry to something for free, it's technically being sponsored. So, the various other creators that have been posting tweets with hashtag sponsored it, that's because they're not paying to sub to my channel, they're paying to join the event. I'm letting them in as a promotional event. I don't really know what this opponent is doing. They had Drana and the Death Touch creature. Demonic Embrace would probably signal there's something more aggressive. Board in the Baffling Ends. Wool Master, thanks for the 13 months. And as always, the business aspect of my job I'm fairly transparent with, so I don't mind telling folks stuff like that. You have questions, ask. Generally speaking, I'm pretty open. For people that are new to the channel, I stream full-time. This is my full-time job. I've been doing it as a full-time job for, gosh, 2.5 years now. It's been a trip, chat. It's been a trip. I've been streaming casually for a lot longer than that. Like some of the oldest subs on the channel are coming up on 60 months. That's 5 years. I was streaming a little bit before that even. Obviously, you don't get partnered and get subs right away. Back in my day when I got partnered, affiliate didn't exist. You just put an application into a dark box and hope whoever looked at it liked you enough to make you a partner. It was very fair and well balanced and definitely didn't have any bias or favoritism involved. What's the 5-year icon? I actually don't have one done yet. Need to get one of those commissioned. I got a couple of months before I need one commissioned. $199 Jan, thanks for the 7 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Sure. Back in my day, things were worse, therefore, that is the standard by which all things should be judged. Yeah, exactly. See, you get it. I appreciate someone who gets it. Things were awful for me, and they should be awful for you. These darn Darn whippersnappers and their progress. Wow. Named High Alert and got double punked. Thankfully, we've got Assault Formation, I guess. That's such a beating. You talk more about your keep / mulliganing decision. I had lands, and I had spells that those lands cast, so I kept my hand. I know, I guess in general, like, the hand that I had was, like, a pretty decent mix of things. Like, I literally had all of my colors of mana. I had threats. I had enablers for my threats. Like, maybe you could say, I guess the question could be, I kept double High Alert plus Assault Formation with only one threat, I think, if I recall, which is dense on one type of thing, but the type of thing it was dense on is a thing that I have to have or I can't win. So I think it's worth keeping. I think would be the dissection you could do there, I suppose. Well, that's just rude, opponent. Is Necromentia strictly better on Mortigo? Maybe. It's different, right? Would you rather your opponent have zombies than draw cards? Probably. Yep. Where's a Tetsuko when you need one, chat? Yeah, and 2-color decks, one blue-black is sometimes easier to cast. I think Thoughtseize fits in the Salte field deck, maybe in the sideboard. All of the deck lists on my website are updated. If you have questions about cards from AHK that fit into them, I'd encourage you to go look at my website. Liz Cheney already calling Harris left of Sanders. In other news, conservative doesn't know ass from elbow or definition of what words mean. Other news at 11. Words have meanings. I remember my last bit of transition from someone who didn't really politically care to like a frothing at the mouth dirty progressive really happened when like I tried to engage with a lot of family members and people I previously talked to who were on the right, and a lot of it boiled down to like a lot of my last conversations with them boiled down to me being like, that's not what that word means, and me like pulling up dictionaries and definitions and being like, you don't understand what you're talking about, and them getting very upset that I would imply they were using a word wrong. And that was like about the tipping point where it was like, well, this is stupid, I'm done with it. This was the single best draw in our deck there. Hey, Ajetis, thanks for checking out the raid sponsor and completing the tutorial. Drop me a DM to let me know if you'd like to have a sub gifted to you on the channel. This. Thanks for the 18 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Yeah, I'm aware that unfortunately the U.S. does not have a monopoly on bad faith politicians and propaganda. Far from it. Honestly, Jin, it hurt a lot for me as becoming an adult, right? And like realizing that all these people that I had previously looked up to and like respected, like realized that they didn't actually believe in the things that they said or that they taught me. And the reality was they just hate people who have the letter D next to their name. Like you can't, just couldn't engage on the details of anything. And it was just like, well, there's a D next to their name, so we hate them. D for Democrat for people that aren't familiar with American politics. Yeah, that's the other thing, Jin. Like, as someone who, like, grew up white, middle class, and was pretty always sheltered growing up from a lot of issues of race because of where I was raised, like, realizing that, like, oh, these well-formed logical arguments that they have, when you really start to think about it and break it down, you're like, oh, they're not really well-reasoned or well-formed. They're just, like, covers for very racist policies and thinking. It's like, oh, yeah, okay. Number of Fae of Wishes. I think Fae's just kind of slow. Hey, DTC. Thanks for checking out the raid sponsor and completing the tutorial. I appreciate the support. Drop me a message. Let me know if you'd like a gifted sub or to bump something in the queue. Yeah, family in 2018 to 2019 finally pushed me over the edge and deactivated my Facebook account. I'm just like, nope, enough of this. Okay, Tetsuko's very good. A little awkward with Caryatid, of course. Oh, no, yeah, I had a few people that messaged me. In fact, my Facebook Messenger account's still active. I just don't have a profile that you can view anymore. You can actually disable your profile, Niv. So when you go to deactivate, there's an option to leave the Messenger still enabled. Because Christy and I use the Messenger still. Alright, so they're obviously a sweeper deck, right? So I'm going to play High Alert here and just get the pressure going. Yeah. As someone who lives on my cell phone, the little chat head feature of Facebook's Messenger is nice. And I don't care if they're taking my information to sell me ads. I just don't. I'd rather get targeted ads than non-targeted ads, if I'm being honest. Damage will be dealt to you. Prevent that damage and put an incarnation counter on 9 lives. If there's 9 or more counters on it. Wait, so they're dead? Oh, it's not total damage, it's per instance. Okay, got it. I understand now. Yep, Beetle. As something of a privileged middle-class white person, I went through a stage that I think a lot of people who classify as privileged middle-class white people go through on my transition from conservative family to frothing at the mouth filthy liberal, where I thought of myself as a libertarian, And then anybody capable of critical thinking skills will quickly realize that the idea of being socially liberal can't coexist with the idea of being fiscally responsible. Those two things are counterintuitive to each other. If you can't fix social injustice without spending money. It doesn't work. Yeah, that's the point you get to, Travis. Fiscal responsibility largely doesn't exist. It's just the things that they want to spend money on are different than you. One short on killing that here, unfortunately. I don't think I'm playing Caretaker out. Next turn's the turn where I attack in, and then they settle the wreckage me, right? Yeah, we're getting Solemnity to pair with 9 lives.
Mind and body should move in unison. Meditate and prepare.
Shatter in the sky. So this is lethal then, huh? If I understand 9 lives. Oh, the 9 lives with lose the game trigger is a trigger, huh? That's interesting. Yeah, like discontinuity or Tail's End can technically stop it. That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that card from that perspective. Oh, yeah, that's true. Questing Beast and Bone Crusher both get right through that, don't they? That's awkward. Nimble Obstructionist is only opponent's triggers, right? Pretty sure. Yeah, it's unfortunate. That'd be sweet otherwise. Yeah, and the other thing that's an issue with the idea of fiscal responsibility is that it is often fiscally responsible to spend money because there's certain things that when you spend money on them, you actually save money in the long term, right? Like preventative healthcare is a really good example of that. Like it's cheaper to like ahead of time to like make sure bad things don't happen as opposed to paying to fix bad things after they happen. It's fiscal responsibility to send Jeff at least 4 days a month on Twitch. That's not true. In fact, counter to my own financial interests, I would encourage you to only send me money that's extra money. Make sure your own are all squared up first, chat. Do I need to hold up dispute this turn? I think so. That's true. If you've got Amazon Prime, you've got a free sub there. Take some. I'll take all of Jeff Bezos' money. Bezos has plenty of it. So if you've got Prime, make sure you use that here or somewhere else on Twitch every month. For every dollar invested in providing higher living standards for low-income children, the government saves $7 down the road. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, I agree, Jamison. A lot of the studies line up to say that too. Hey, Click, thanks for the tip. I appreciate it. There's no such thing as extra money, it's just money you haven't spent on a bill yet. Your mother sounds smart. Don't tell me what to do. Okay, sorry. Apologies, Click. With your money as you will. Okay, so I get to go wall into, gosh, how many things did I play next turn? A lot of them. And then we can do this next turn. Oh, this isn't the one that makes mana. Poop. I was thinking this was the one that made mana. This historic? It is. You can always see the format that we are currently playing in my stream title. I always try and do my best to take the time to let viewers be informed when you stop by here in Hoaglandia. You can also type exclamation point deck in chat to see our current deck list. Yep, no worries. I know a lot of other people don't take the time to do that, so we're doing a little bit of retraining here, helping people realize that the information's available. Oh, I did miss a sub. Thank you. No Oliver, thanks to the brand new Prime. Welcome to Hoaglandia. Hey, thanks for the 16 months, Stark Rider. Welcome back. This draws a card now, at least. Maybe I'm supposed to leave this untapped so I can activate Watchdog. Because if they shatter me again here... Yeah, this might be wrong. Might have been right to not attack with my 3/3 and leave the Watchdog activation up. Even with the other Arcadas in hand. Nah, I think Collecting Company is going to be great. I think it's a fantastic addition to the format. Hey, Pulse Fusion, thanks for checking out the Raid Shadow Legend sponsor. I appreciate that. Drop me a DM and let me know if you'd like a sub gifted or to bump something in the queue. And for people that did message me about sub gifts, those will all get doled out at the end of the stream today once I sign off. Yeah, so no joke, a crappy lawyer. When we would, in the before times, when we would go visit my mother-in-law who lives in the Chicagoland area, there's literally a bridge in Joliet that doesn't meet the inspection standards, and there's literally a billboard that a group put up on either side of it that says, traverse at your own risk. And generally speaking, we avoid taking that route when we drive in. Mistakes were made, chat. I was talking about a bridge that's falling down, and then I missed a card draw. You know, life happens. Hopefully they tuck Arcadas, and then we play this and kill them. Alright, predictions for Historic after Amonkhet Remaster releases. Much of the same that it is now, plus Thoughtseize and a Braid. Yep, yeah, it's the I-80 bridge. Speaking of fiscal responsibility, take my bits and play Tebow Fizz. Sounds good, Bob. I appreciate the absurd support. Yeah, Stroke's an incredible pickup. For sure. Gosh, imagine if I was like one card deeper into my deck right now. He boarded a negate. Wow. Okay. Yes, backup Arcades is a good draw. And all these cantrips, I'm just going to go ahead and fire them off here. All right, one more brick for me, please. Big bucks, no sweeper. Big bucks, no sweeper. Big bucks, no sweeper. That also tucks him in. All right, high alert, please. Arcades. Remember that time I could have been one card deeper in my deck, chat? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Well, it still would have been tucked in 3 down, but we would have had whatever this card is here. That's probably the game.
Let's skip to the good part.
I have just the trick for this.
Hey, looks like our extra card didn't matter. All things considered, this performed better than I was expecting it to perform. It went about as expected, I think. The addition of Assault Formation from Jumpstart definitely felt good. Having like 10 of this effect that lets our defenders basically attack for meaningful points of damage felt like a really good number. Only having 8 before felt a little bit on the low side. Well, obviously you're not always going to have it. With 10, you frequently have it and have some redundancy behind it. I think some of your really aggressive draws with this deck can be really impressive. For example, for people that didn't see it, the most aggressive draws this deck generates, you can go Caretaker on 1, 4 power thing on 2, plus another 4 power thing on, or 4 toughness thing on 2. And then on 3, play High Alert and attack for 11 on the 3rd turn of the game. So you have some draws that kill people as early as turn 4. It's kind of a unique effect. I don't think an archetype like this is ever going to be tier 1. There's probably small things that you could tweak or tune depending on what you want to beat and what you want to lose to. For example, a tool that you technically have access to too if you're going to play against more interaction is perhaps playing Dive Down over things like Tower Defense is good if you want to fight some spot removal as opposed to having this big oomph. Both Wall of Blossoms, Carven Caryatid, and Assault Formation and Overgrown Battlement were all in Jumpstart Bob. So like this deck got a ton of Jumpstart editions. All right, at any rate, that's going to wrap our Magic segment for today. Tomorrow and Friday, I'll be doing all historic all day with the new Amonkhet remastered cards. If you want to see the decks that we're going to be playing for the next few days, you can find them on the deck queue. For the rest of today's stream, we're going to shift gears and play some Runeterra, which is Riot's all-new digital card game. New-ish. They're getting ready to release their 3rd set. Newer than the 25 years of Magic, at least.